Okay, so you don't need gravity in that. There's no need for gravity in there. So I'm trying to figure out what the hell to say to my friend, because when we're talking about...
Go to the definition of force. The definition of force, by most of the definitions, has the word physical in it. So there needs to be a physical, like, propulsion, a mechanism that physically makes the force. So ask them what physical force would there be for gravity, and then they will say gravity. It's like, right, but how do you prove it? Doesn't satisfy the definition of force because it lacks physicality. The attractive forces between masses is not physicality, and if it is, it's not even the current definition of science. So just go back to the definition.
Sure, sure. But I guess I'm just, as I was thinking just right now, if we simply now change the object to something falling to the Earth, wouldn't that have to change the formula of force equals mass times acceleration, because it's not the same dynamic? And my friend is saying the acceleration factor is gravity. So then you can't have F equals ma in both of those observations, because they're not the same dynamic. Am I being clear?
Yeah, F equals ma requires F to be physical. You can't have a force without proving that there is something doing it. Otherwise, it's a law of nature. In my opinion, it's a law of nature, and it's like that. It's like the imbalance of density over buoyancy. If there's an imbalance, for some reason, nature will find its way to sell it. Nature will find its way to level itself.
Spit it out, Tony.
Pardon?
Spit it out.
Oh, wow, it's Alan. Hi, Alan. Everybody, it's Alan.
Hey, Alan.
Detecting a bit of English sarcasm there.
How are we, Alan?
Not bad. I just spent an hour with Spurs chemo. My ears are burning.
Really? Spurs is okay on the ear. He's got quite a nice voice.
Yes. Yes, Tony. Yeah.
Not if you don't agree with what he's saying, which I'm sure Alan didn't. So
he was being a therapy doctor.
Why? What's your ailment?
He's out of ice creams.
Oh, that's a bad ailment. So did you have -3 ice creams, or did you have 0?
I had 2 ice creams, Tony.
So you weren't out of ice creams then?
I have 0 ice creams.
But you didn't have -3, no?
No.
Oh, maths is a bit of a bummer when it doesn't match real world, does it?
I think Pete Shea stole them.
Pete Shea's a dummy.
I think he's fashioning a leg out of ice cream.
I don't get where he comes from. I think he's off his fucking head. I think he's the guy. I think he's the agent that he accuses everybody else of being.
Did you listen to that show again? Did you hear him slip up and laugh?
No, I did try listening to it, but I couldn't find it because he must have said it while somebody was over speaking him.
I'll send you a link. He definitely says it, and he definitely.
What did he say?
He's acknowledging that he makes shit up.
That he makes shit up.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
I like Pete as a general rule, right? He's harmless. He doesn't really. He's not going to fight people. He's not really a threat to anybody. It's just his mouth is like rancid.
Yeah, a little bit. Like, I don't understand where he's coming from with half the shit. Like all the Aristarchus shit is like, oh, okay, whatever. That's how you feel about it. But
yeah, but how does Aristarchus connect into Flat Earth?
I don't know. He says Aristarchus is everything, according to him. It all started from Aristarchus. It might as well have started the Big Bang.
Do you remember the time? You remember the time when he used the 2015 Economist cover to explain everything?
Who? Pete?
Pete Shea.
He used the 2015 what?
Economist cover.
No, don't remember that.
Fantastic. The dodo.
Oh, fucking hell, I do remember that.
The dodo with a picture of Paul McCartney in its breast.
I do remember. That was the one where it was like Romulus and Remus, where they were underneath something, weren't they? And you had to make out Paul McCartney in it.
No purpose, bro. He spent 1 year doing that.
Wow.
So Anthony.
Sorry, I'm just communicating with my dog.
So all I did was Google force real quick, and I don't see anything in any of these definitions except for an implied physical issue. It's just.
I'm sorry, you said that you looked up the definition of force and you didn't find what?
There's nothing in there that says that it's physical. You have to insert that idea. A force is any interaction that. A force is any interaction that.
Yeah.
Any natural influence. Yeah, but it's not physical. It doesn't say physical.
Well, a lot of the one I looked up 3, and 2 of them said physical, and the other one that I looked at was the one that you're on about with interaction. So maybe look up 2 or 3 other ones and see what they say generally.
Yeah, I keep going back.
But there needs to be the interaction, right? The interaction isn't the result. So there has to be that independent variable. That will be the interaction that causes the movement. So something has to cause it. If there's no interaction, then you've just got an accelerating mass.
Hey, so you guys up to date on the ISS hole?
Yeah, is it true that the Russians have said that it was sabotage?
I don't know about sabotage, but it was a hole that was drilled, it seems, before the Soyuz went up into space.
Well, have you compared the 2 holes? They don't even look the same.
What 2 holes?
Well, they said that it was a hole that was drilled, right? And I agree that is what they've said. But when you look at the picture that they showed of said hole being drilled, and then compare it to the picture that they claim it was from the album art from the other year, then they're not even the same, and they can't be compared because we know that the other one doesn't relate to that incident.
Right. No, and that's kind of what I'm trying to say is that the album artwork picture was sent out by Chris,
Hatfield.
Whatever his name is. Yeah, Chris Hatfield. So it kind of invalidates that. I think he was just if what they're going to say is that he was just putting that image out just to troll, you know.
Surely he wasn't trolling.
That's all they can do at this point.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Because they can't go back and say that that's the actual picture. So now they're forced to do damage control.
Yeah, so is that not classed as lying, though? Because if it was me that did that, that wouldn't be credited with being trolling, right? It would be... I mean, we've tried trolling them in the past, and they take it literally, right? They don't accept that we did stuff on purpose. Like when Ranty put in the ISS into the Eclipse footage, we did that intentionally backwards so that we could see whether or not they'd spot it, and they did spot it, to be fair. But they wouldn't accept that it was done intentionally because we were trolling them. But we were.
Yeah.
Now, they did eventually accept it. But ultimately, it's not that easy to persuade people that you were just trolling. But I don't think we should credit him with trolling. I think we should just call him a fucking liar.
Yeah. Well, my worry is for just regular people who don't know this part of the story and then are walking on the street and talking with someone about it, and they're still going with the album cover as truth. And if they're trying to convince somebody that NASA is lying, and then that other person goes and does research on it, they're going to find this deeper layer of the story, and it's going to discredit everything the person told them.
Yeah, but right, just because it says but that's not wrong, though, is it? Because even though it's the album art, which was originally a NASA picture, it's a NASA picture from a different location, a different part in time. So it's still wrong. It doesn't make it wrong just because it's an album cover. The explanation for the album cover is still wrong.
Yeah, of course it's wrong, but just people should know that there is this other layer, because I don't think it's people really know about it. I think people still think that NASA put out an album cover of a bullet hole and claimed that it was a hole on the ISS created by a meteor, when there is a deeper layer of a drilled hole while the Soyuz was in the ground, and NASA's trying to figure out who caused this hole.
Well, why should
now where are they going to get
this? Shouldn't it be NASA that corrects their own story?
I mean, for us. I mean, for the flat earthers' benefit, because
I
would look stupid if I walked up to somebody and said, "Hey, NASA's covering shit up, and they're claiming this bullet hole of an album is something that it's not," and I would look like an idiot if I didn't know about the drilled hole. That's what I'm saying.
So the whole narrative now has changed to it was a drilled hole.
No. And they're trying to figure out who did it on the ground before the ship left. They're trying to claim that a maintenance guy or someone before the ship took off to dock with the ISS.
Which ship?
Drilled this hole.
This seems.
Which ship?
Listen,
The Soyuz.
how does that even make any sense? If
Wait,
you've
wait,
got
wait,
a
wait, wait.
hole,
Which ship has the hole in it? The
The
ISS
Soyuz.
itself?
No, the Soyuz that attaches to the ISS. I guess there's two Soyuz that attach to the ISS, and one of them left Earth allegedly with this drilled hole in it already. That's the story now.
It seems to be.
Oh
it seems to
my
be-
god.
It seems to be a bullshit story.
how does that
Of course,
even
it's all bullshit.
how does that even change the scenario? You've got a hole in something that is going into almost no atmosphere, and there's no.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, oh yeah, we didn't discover it until 2 weeks later. Okay, so nothing happened for 2 weeks.
Yeah, it doesn't change the story, but for a baller that's somebody's trying to convince, if you tell them that NASA claimed that a hole of an album cover was a hole on the ISS, and then that baller goes on the internet and finds this deeper layer of a drilled hole by an engineer on the ground before the Soyuz took off,
So
then
this
it's
is
going to discredit everything that was said.
But wouldn't it be more logical to say that, well, shouldn't NASA be the one that corrects Chris Hadfield's original post by saying Chris
Yes.
Hadfield was wrong?
Of course, but they're never going to do that. And a flat earther should be smart and ready with this information.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you're new to this channel, or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they're live, and there's also a PayPal link in the info box below the video once it's rendered. But most importantly, if you would like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the shape of the Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel. So please share the show. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now we are joined by Mike, Anthony, Isaiah, Travis, Earth Flatner, sorry I don't know your name, Chocolate Saying, and Arwin. Good to have you all.
Hola.
Hello. What?
Shalom.
Where did Alan go?
Arwen.
No reply to that. Alan was here before during the break. I thought I heard his voice.
Yeah. It's just what he did yesterday. As soon as you started the show, he dropped.
Oh, really? Oh,
yeah,
fair
he
enough.
seems to be a little shy to be on live or something because
Well, he said he
did
was
the
out of
exact
ice
same
cream.
thing.
Maybe he just doesn't want to be here for the housekeeping.
I don't know.
He'd have to answer in the affirmative, wouldn't he? So if I say any signs of curvature, I'll get from you guys no. And then what's Alan going to do? Sit in silence? Or have me go, hi Alan, any signs of curvature?
Yep.
I'm not going to run through the housekeeping.
I want to ask all of the ballers why none of the ballers are $10,000 richer today. Why has nobody won that thing yet? What's going on, guys?
Fill us in. I know what it is, but just fill us in so anybody who's not watching or not watched or kept up may not know what you're talking about.
Say that again?
Just tell people, give us a summary of what you're talking about, because there might be someone watching that hasn't got the vaguest notion what you're talking about.
Oh, there's a guy, I don't know the guy's name, but there's a guy that's hosting a $10,000, I don't know, sweepstakes tournament or something to prove that we live on a ball. You can prove we live on a ball, he'll give you $10,000 cash. All you have to do is provide evidence of rotation and evidence of curve. Repeatable evidence, and if the guy can repeat it, he'll give you $10,000. Now I know this was like a couple of days ago, and I don't know. I don't think anybody's stepped up to it yet. So,
So
if
can
you
we just
believe you
present?
live on a spinning ball and you want $10,000, go for it, guys.
Yeah, just see how far you get by presenting obstruction with a limited viewing angle.
And to me, it becomes set. The longer this stays, without being won, the worse it looks. Because
Yeah, yeah. It's like my friend. I tried to call him out to come on today's show, and he's like, "I'm not going to go on a show where you guys aren't. You guys have no integrity. Blah blah blah." So okay, fine. So you won't come on a show and debate, but $10,000. I think you should be able to make your arguments just like you are on Facebook, and
exactly.
You got it.
Exactly.
10 grand.
Where are they? Just all you have to do is provide an experiment that can be repeated and verified, and $10,000. I mean, the guy. I think from what I saw, he'll fly you out to Vegas and do this whole big thing. I think it's actually backed up by Eric Dubay too, as well. I, I don't know. I'd be jumping all over that. So
I love it. George in the chat says 10K challenge is a joke on Effie. I outed him last night. He admitted the money is fake. So not
evidence, please, George.
Well, evidence for that, but not I got evidence for the globe.
Evidence.
Let's see the evidence. Let's see the evidence that George, quote, outed him last night. Because I don't know what you mean by that, George, but where I come from, that involves conversation of some kind or a recording. So let's see it. Let's see the admission where he admits that the money doesn't exist, because I'm going to call bullshit.
Yeah, definitely. I could be wrong, but where's the evidence for that? I just saw the video like early this morning. Eric Dubay just posted it on his YouTube channel, I think yesterday. So it's pretty fresh. So I don't know. It's pretty sad claim to say, "Oh, it's fake." Why?
George has just imagined it.
Say, "Oh, I got that."
Don't take what he says too seriously. The guy's senile, so he's just imagined he's done that.
So who do we think is going to step up to this? Soundly, Reds.
Yeah, Soundly. Go on, Soundly. Present your punchy train footage.
One of these super globers have to be able to do this.
Surely Soundly will put his footage forward for the 10K prize, right?
I mean,
you
would think so.
He still needs to prove rotation.
Read
the laser gyroscopes.
Housekeeping.
I'm sure I heard you use the word experiment. Has he specifically asked for an experiment then?
Yeah. Well, so I believe it's scientific verification. So yeah, I guess an experiment that can be repeated.
So he's asking them to give an experiment, which means that if it's going to be considered as an experiment, it would need a hypothesis. And if it's got a hypothesis, it's got an independent and a dependent variable. Yeah, good luck with that, Globeheads. That's why no one's challenging him, because he's asked for science. So you're all fucked. None of you are going to be able to claim that 10 grand.
No cursing.
Sorry, my bad. I'm not triggered. The swearing rule is for people who are triggered. You know, it's for when someone's getting angry, like Pete Shea was the other day, although we kept him in with him swearing. But, you know, it's to stop the triggered people without me having to say, look, you're really triggered, because that normally gets people more annoyed. So, you know, it's not necessarily that I've got anything against swearing, although it is bad. It makes me look bad. I do it in the chat a lot at the moment because I'm mirroring Red's rhetoric in terms of his behaviour. So if anyone's currently watching my chat antics and they're like, my God, this guy's really evil, it's like, yeah, I'm just mirroring Red. Don't take it too seriously. Eventually, he'll either fly away without a leg because he'll wiggle his way loose, or he'll get eaten. Either way, you know, this won't continue forever.
I guess really what you're kind of doing is putting a bounty on your request for scientific evidence of R.
Yeah.
He's just putting money on it. And that's like the problem that he's got, in my opinion, is that he should be getting all these ballers that are getting. I mean, why doesn't somebody submit Pontchartrain just for shits and giggles, let's see what happens if you submit Pontchartrain as the evidence for the curvature of the Earth, and see if you can claim your 10 grand.
Yeah. He's got the right
It has
idea.
to be repeatable, remember?
Well, it's not just repeatable. He's asked for an experiment. Well, that's a big problem, isn't it?
I believe one of the parameters is you can't use a picture. You could use because pictures are too, or images are too
open to interpret.
Capable, exactly, and manipulation. So
Yeah.
he said you can submit a video because that's harder to manipulate. You know? So
again,
So
George.
why don't we
George
challenge?
says there is no 10K, you morons. Right.
He does
No,
have
George.
video, right?
There's no scientific evidence for a globe. Get it right.
George is just literally a troll that trolls the chat. Doesn't understand Coriolis. Makes bold. He's like Pete Shea. He makes assertions without evidence to back it up and pushes that it's true. And we all know that there's no evidence for your assertions, George. Yet he's still here.
George's evidence is done on a whiteboard.
Yep.
That's all the evidence he's got. Presupposed constants and variables that don't mean anything but a description.
whiteboard's done, George.
Yeah.
I think John calls them crayon munchers.
Yeah.
Non-toxic.
Mathematicians are the most useless engineers out there. You never need a mathematician until you need them. Then you use them and you dump them again because they're not very useful. You know, they can't make anything but a presupposed prediction. That's it.
Yeah.
I think
Boo, maths,
I think
boo.
what this guy is doing is brilliant.
Guy.
The guy who's offering the $10,000. I think it's brilliant.
I think we should challenge Soundly to submit his see if he can claim the 10 grand. Why would he not be doing this if it's free 10 grand, right? He's getting
Why
paid
would
for his work.
why would any of them not be doing this? You know, like you're calling us idiots and retarded for questioning the globe. So go ahead, prove it.
To be fair, let's not burden the guy with thousands of dumb ball earther requests to ask for the 10 grand, because let's be honest, if the accepted level of evidence is the way that most ballers appear to think it is, then we're just going to create a mountain of work for the poor guy that's going to have to go through everybody with a rubber stamp saying, no evidence, stamp, no evidence, stamp, no evidence, stamp. It'll be like a processing line for the guy, but that takes hours. So let's not rally soundly, but let's laugh at him, because we all know that he wouldn't get the 10 grand if he submitted it. Oh, by the way, Thingy's over there at the minute, isn't he? What's his name? Oh, hang on. Who is it now? Someone's over at Pontchartrain now. I'm trying to remember who it is.
Jose.
You kidding? It's Jose.
Yes.
Big shout out to Jose. Woo!
So I can't wait to see Jose's validation of Soundly's evidence, because the ballers have said that he probably won't get it. I'm like, really? That's not going to be good for your position if he doesn't manage to validate and verify the work that you lot have been worshipping for the last, 12, 18 months. That's going to be a big problem, because you guys all think that this is like repeatable, and that's what you've been telling us all the time. And now someone goes over there and you're predicting that he's not going to get the same result. Why might that be? I wonder what's going on there. If he doesn't come back with that bendy bullshit, then there's a real big problem with deception.
It's just a cop out, Anthony. They're already copping out of the fact that he's not going to see the same thing.
There's no way that if he comes back with different evidence to Soundly, then it means that Soundly's either cherry picking or he's frauding it, because it should validate up. It should be the same there or thereabouts, because we know the effects of refraction are negligible. We've got numerous documents that can that tell us that. So it shouldn't be that much different per day. The only thing it should be is that some days he'll see further, and there'll be more of an arc in terms of more pylons, and other days he'll see less of an arc because less pylons.
Causeway footage is hilarious. You know, I live at the lake here in the Netherlands, and we have a dike that crosses the entire lake. You know, it's 30 kilometers long. You know, and when you look at when you put your eyes on the same level as the street itself, there's no way you're going to see that massive curve that he sees. No way.
Not over 18 miles
across the entire lake. You can see it hit the land on the other side, and if you do the math, that should not even be possible.
Yeah, it's 18 miles. That's if you're going shore to shore. And Rancy's done an 18-mile observation from Barrow looking back at Blackpool Tower from the promenade. And not only can we see the streetlights, we can see the band playing that are underneath the streetlights. And basically, if Soundlies is correct, then Rancy should not get that evidence. But he has. He's got it twice, 2 years on the run. And it's a 2-hour drive for him. It's not as if it's round the corner. And his Patreon's paid for the fuel that he spent to get him there. So shout out to his Patreons. But point is, it's still an 18-mile observation that fails to validate Soundly's observation. But guess what? If Thingy goes back for it and fails to get it again, that'll be twice based on once on the distance, but then twice on the actual position. And if he doesn't come back with the same evidence, then you guys have got a lot of explaining to do, because that's part of the scientific method. It's or scientific process. You validate the claim first, and if we can't repeat it, then what does that tell us? That's a problem.
Hey, FE Astronomy, what lake were you referring to?
IJsselmeer.
Ah, the big one.
Yes.
Right. Where do you live, if I may ask?
I live in Enkhuizen. That's the starting point of the Lelydijk. The Lelydijk runs from Enkhuizen to Lelystad. And I live...
Yeah, I see it. Right, in North Holland.
Yes.
Cool.
Can you just tell some of the audience what a
really
dike is, just so they know?
Yeah, Netherlands in general is flat as a pancake.
Yeah, it is.
You can see the entire coastline all around the lake, and that varies from 10 kilometers to 40 kilometers. And that's why I always keep laughing about those people who say that I have to, for example, our microwave signal is ducting around the curve. That's ridiculous, because I can actually see the location I'm pointing it at. So, the entire argument is bunk, because you can see where you're shooting your laser or your microwave at. The lake is, it's perfect. It's shallow. There's most of the times when it's not windy, it's completely flat like a mirror.
Yes.
And there's, only on sunny days there is a lot of boats on the lake. But especially when it's getting dark, and in spring or in fall, the wind also goes down, usually in the morning and at sunset, and you can see so freaking far, and it's not a looming mirage that you're seeing. When I use my Sigma 600mm telelens, I can see bicycles riding on the dike on the other side. That's 25 to 30 kilometers away. Those things are actually there. It's not a mirage.
Yeah, we don't have to make these apologies, Mike. It's the case that we've been so twisted up in doublespeak from these globe heads that we have to automatically apologise for it being there. It's like, it's a concrete noun. You just see those bicycles. There's no other explanation required whatsoever. You see them because they're there.
They keep changing their argument too, because I've had Flat Earth Math, for example, commenting on footage that I made. He said, well, you're seeing something that's being refracted, and you usually don't see that. The observations that you see the most, they count. And I said, yes, I agree with you, because I can see the other side of the lake the entire freaking day. Except when it's rainy or misty, then I don't see it. But it's stable on the horizon. It doesn't move up or down. I can see. I don't see more or less depending on what day it is. It's always the same. There's no argument to be made that that lake is actually curving, and the land on the other side, which is actually below sea level. That's the funny part. It's below sea level, and it's loomed up. Ridiculous. Prove it. Show me the mathematical formula for the Snell's law calculation that actually makes that possible.
Again, they won't ever do that. That's not the refraction they use. There's no calculations involved. 7/6R, that's what they've got.
Yeah, well, I've had somebody use the argument that gravity is affecting the light, and I said, well, if gravity affects the light, then a photon must have mass, or else it doesn't work in your model.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so how much mass does a photon have?
Exactly. Show me the experiment. Show me the...
This is a contradiction in their physics model. You have particles with no mass.
You just have to show me the experiment or the validation that proves that gravity is affecting light. Show me that.
they say black holes, you know.
Oh, right. Black holes. Of course.
Yeah.
My bad. Nice and testable.
Yeah. Well, show me a photon, you know. Is photon a particle? Is that what collects on my window screen that I have to dust off every day? Are those photons? No, a photon is not a particle. It's ridiculous.
Oh, be careful.
For what?
I agree. It either behaves like a wave or a particle, but that doesn't actually define it.
Light is particles. It's not a wave. That's a mathematical description of how light behaves. It doesn't make it a wave.
Exactly.
And it's solely on observation.
Yeah. Now it's a mathematical deduction, basically.
Well, it's a concept, and if you start extrapolating outside of that concept when you're trying to describe it, it's mathematical. That's what maths does. If you start pulling out or working outside of the confines of that construct, it immediately becomes null. It's fallacious, because you're describing something with mathematics and then taking something outside of that concept. And that concept in this instance is light being a wave. It isn't. It's a particle. That's just a way of mathematically describing it.
Well, I like how Ken Wheeler always answers that question if they say light is a wave. A wave of what?
It behaves like a wave.
Yeah, but a wave of what?
Say it's a particle. No, there's no real proof of that.
No.
Particle is a unit. That's what makes it a particle. But
no, a particle
it
by definition should have mass. You know, you
seems
cannot have massless particles. That's impossible.
Yeah, it seems to me more like a wave or something, or and not like the shape, the motion, the typical what waves do with ripples, but just no. I don't think it's just a unit. Anything. It's more like energy.
Well, we still have no freaking idea what light actually is, you know. And if you hear Ken Wheeler's deduction on what light actually is, that I think that's the most close description of light itself. But the mainstream description of light, either being a duality, wave, or particle, it's freaking nonsense, you know.
Yeah, total nonsense.
I'd rather describe it as like behaving like a fluid. With that, but it is it's not a fluid or a gas.
I consider it more like a field instead of a wave.
Yeah. Would be a way to describe. Anyway, it's all pure speculation. But how they measure light and basically determine the a unit of light is by the minimum light that they can measure, and that's probably gonna leave a dot. So then they say, okay, this is just one particle, but it's an interpretation of a contact, the minimum contact of this light, and doesn't make it into an actual unit that is hitting it. That's all interpretation.
Hi, Milo.
Okay, guys, I have to go. Thanks for having me, and if I find some extra time on another day, I'll probably rejoin. Love the conversation, guys. Thank you.
Been a pleasure. Thank you, Mike.
Yeah, good to talk to you. See you later.
Bye-bye.
Hello, guys.
Hi, Milo.
Nathan, you said light is a particle, right?
So we're told.
Let's prove it.
Well, it's your science, dude.
Hi, Randy.
No, Nathan made the claim light is a particle, not a wave, so I'd like him to prove it.
The double slit experiment.
What's the observation?
Light moves in straight lines.
And how does that prove that it's a particle?
Because they can do, according to the double slit experiment,
Right.
they can
Light is a particle. Yeah, the way it is described in mathematics is a wave. That is not to say that it's a wave. It means that you can mathematically describe it. So you can have things like wavelengths. That does not make light a wave. Light is a particle.
Okay, but where do we see a light particle? Where have we observed a light particle? Can you show us a light particle?
Yes, the double slit experiment. Anthony already gave you the answer.
So the double slit experiment shows us a light particle.
No.
And not a behavior?
No.
Right, so light particle, that's a deduction from the double slit, right?
No, there are machines that can produce a single photon for the
machines.
purposes. Oh, right, my bad. For the purposes of experiments like the quantum eraser and double slit.
Right, so machines. So where have we observed this in the natural world without machines?
I'm not scientifically validating photons. I'm saying it's not a wave.
Right, you're claiming it's a particle, so I'd like you to prove it.
Okay.
You believe it, right? So prove it.
What's
the independent variable? What's the...
Just said, I'm not scientifically validating it. I'm asserting that it's not a wave.
Yeah, but you're asserting it's a particle.
Correct.
Okay, so prove it.
What, you want me to produce a single photon out of my ass? What do you want me to do?
Why do you believe it's a particle if you can't even prove it?
I can disprove that it's a wave, and science has got two assertions about light. One is idiots' interpretation of a mathematical construct, a description of what light does, in maths, as a wave. That doesn't make it a wave.
Okay, so what makes it a particle?
That's a good question. I can't give you a concise answer.
So why do you believe it?
That's what's accepted in science. How are you doing? Warning good people joined. How are you doing? Or warning good people.
I mean, but there's a lot of things accepted
Bear with
in
me.
science that
I've
you
got a new
cannot
guest.
accept.
Hello, new guest. Can you say hello? Hello, warning.
Oh, he says 1 sec, he's setting up his mic.
Oh, I didn't see that.
I kicked him. Sorry.
I've kicked him as well because he didn't
Sorry.
speak.
It took too long. My bad. We'll give you more time next time, warning.
Okay, so you accept that light is a particle, but you have no proof of that.
There is no other assertion being made other than that it is a wave.
So you have to believe either one of two assertions. That's how you arrive to the
No,
truth.
I can disprove that the mathematical description of it as a wave does not make it in actuality a wave. That's what I've done.
Right.
Now you're saying prove a particle. I'm saying I'm not
Okay.
offering any scientific validity. There's no cause and effect relationship with a light particle.
Exactly. So why do you believe it?
What the hell does this have to do with flat Earth?
It has to do with the level of proof that you.
Hello. Hello.
So George,
Hello,
how you doing?
Lauren.
So the Foucault pendulum, George. Why does it show an apparent drift?
Oh, we're gonna move on from particles.
Yeah, I'm not offering any scientific validity to what is stated by science. It's a particle.
But you've made a claim.
No,
And it is a
science says. I'll use your bullshit line. I'll use your bullshit line.
Who are you speaking to here, Nathan?
I'm asking you a question, George. The Foucault pendulum.
Who are you? Let's.
Yeah, you've asked me a question. Now you're talking, George. That's strange. That's strange. You're rumpusing already. I'm asking you a question about the Foucault pendulum. It shows an apparent drift.
The thing is, light is.
Not light. I'm talking about the Foucault pendulum, George.
Wave, just like a radio frequency.
George. We're talking about the Foucault pendulum. George, Foucault pendulum. Specifically, my question to you, George, is we see an apparent drift.
No,
we see an apparent drift.
I was asking you a question, Nathan.
Really? Well, I've given you my answer.
No, you're still stuck on something that you can't prove, but you believe.
Who's asked to prove particles? It is accepted. Now, if you
I'm
want to
asking you.
disprove it,
Yeah.
you've only got one other option. Wave.
Well, the globe Earth is accepted too, but you don't believe that, so.
Yeah, that's disprovable, falsifiable,
Straw
easy
man.
to disprove.
Light is
Now I'm
just
asking
part
George a
of the
question.
electromagnetic
Now I'm
spectrum.
asking
It's
George a
much higher
question.
frequency, much
George,
shorter
we're not
wavelength
talking
than,
about light
radio
anymore,
frequency.
whether you want to or not. This little obfuscation ends here because you have an ongoing issue with your misapprehensions about Coriolis. So, the pendulum
it's
swings.
not obfuscation,
Right,
it's,
one more time, Milo, and I kick you out. George, the Foucault pendulum has a swing. The swing doesn't change, but apparently it drifts. Why is that?
It's due to the spin of the Earth.
So the Earth rotates underneath. That's completely contrary to what you have asserted on multiple occasions. Why
No, it
don't you
isn't.
understand this?
No, not contradictory
Jesus
whatsoever.
Christ,
The Earth
why can
spins
you come away
underneath the
from your
fulcrum
mic, you
pendulum,
blithering old
just like the
idiot?
Earth spins
Get further
underneath
away from your
a
mic, you
bullet
blithering
in
old man.
ballistic flight.
Listen, you blithering old idiot, you're right on top of your mic.
Yeah, how loud is it? Earache.
Loud enough.
Step back, dickhead.
But try not strawman.
Right, Milo, goodbye.
Well,
Your mic is set
you
on
know,
trigger.
oh God.
His mic was set on triggered.
Why the contradiction, George?
Is your daughter nearby? I don't want you
excuse
to be
me,
backhanded.
why the contradiction? Don't talk about my family. You've told us that the rotating of the Earth goes underneath it. So therefore,
Yeah.
it completely contradicts your assertion that everything's in lockstep with the Earth.
No.
Yes, yes,
The pendulum
yes.
is at a single point. It's suspended from a single point, which it's the cord or the string cable, whatever.
Yeah, what is the
you
cord
wanna
or the
call
string
it?
cable
Suspends
attached
the
to?
mass. See, this is the trouble. People love to talk over me while I'm trying to explain.
I understand how a pendulum works. It's suspended. It swings.
Yeah,
the Earth
but it's
rotates
suspended
underneath it, George.
And it's affixed to the
I'm
Earth
sorry, I
when it's
can't
rotating.
understand.
Yeah, we get it. We don't need a rudimentary
You gotta
explanation for
control
how a
your
pendulum
people.
works, George.
They're
We don't
talking over
need
the
you
top
to
of you, and I
explain
can't
in a
understand what
rudimentary
you're saying,
fashion
Nathan.
how a pendulum works. We're not idiots. What we need you to explain
Well, actually,
is how
you are.
what we need you to explain is how the Earth rotates underneath the pendulum, but when you fire a bullet, apparently the atmosphere is in lockstep with the Earth. That's a contradiction in terms.
No, there's no contradiction there whatsoever. Has no the atmosphere and the surface of the Earth rotate together. They spin together. They're in lockstep. As
So
you
why does the
say.
pendulum drift?
there's no
what's the
So why
difference
does the
between
pendulum drift, old
the-
man? Why does the pendulum drift then if they're together? Hello, fuckwit! Hello, bonehead!
The pivot point of the pendulum is fixed to the Earth, but that does not affect the swing. The swing is not affected by where the vertex or the pivot point of the pendulum is.
Right, it swings and pivots through the atmosphere, which is independent of the rotating Earth underneath, George.
No, the atmosphere is not independent of the rotating Earth.
So it's not swinging through the atmosphere, George. The pendulum, it's not attached to the Earth because it's.
That's right.
So what's it swinging
The
through,
pendulum
George?
can be thought of it being just like in ballistic flight, like a projectile.
Sorry,
in
let me
ballistic
get this right from you, this old bonehead retard. A swinging pendulum is the same as a bullet. Suddenly, the bloody pendulum's got its own reference frame now, has it, old man?
Yes, the pendulum.
What a joke! You are a retard. The pendulum doesn't have its own reference frame. It's independent of the Earth travelling underneath it according to your bullshit religion. It's in complete contradiction to what you have asserted. It shits all over your argument and demonstrates admirably that you haven't got the slightest clue how the Coriolis works. You are a retard, George. You are thick as two short shites. You don't deserve to have breath on this panel. You don't understand the Coriolis. It's quite simple. We've explained it on multiple occasions. The atmosphere is separate. It has an Earth rotating underneath in your bullshit world of sphericity.
No, look at child beater.
Get away from the mic, you stupid old dick.
What child beater?
Get away from the mic. Do you not understand what dynamics are?
Sure, I want to be loud so you can hear me.
Yeah, you don't need to be loud for us to hear you. That's what dynamics means, you complete retard. Don't laugh, you're just a thicko. You don't understand Coriolis, you don't understand how your own mic works. You think by doing this into the mic that suddenly everyone's going to hear you and you're not just going to distort. That makes you a retard.
Okay, what, child?
Yeah, get away from your mic, you stupid old prick.
Say again, child beater?
Yeah, you're a stupid old prick who doesn't understand how his microphone works. Calling me a child beater is because you've lost this argument. Your Foucault explanation completely defies your bullet through the air explanation. Now you're giving the bloody pendulum its own reference frame. You're an idiot.
Sorry, I sneezed and accidentally removed him. I'm sorry.
He's an idiot, an absolute retard. He thinks that the bloody pendulum's got its own reference frame.
Yeah, I wanted to show you the picture again, but now you started to get shitty, so it didn't really matter anymore.
Can you stop sniping the guests? Whoever's doing it, I don't care. Just don't do
Travis.
it. He's not swearing. He's getting as annoyed as I am. That's what people have come for. Me to tell George what a complete idiot he is. How his contradictions are glaring. How his senility is exposing itself through his contradictions. That's what people want to hear. If you kick him out, they don't get to hear that. In conclusion, the Coriolis effect is quite clear. You have a reference frame, the atmosphere. You have a second reference frame, the Earth turning underneath. That is the Coriolis effect. In order for there to be an apparent drift of a bullet or an apparent drift of a pendulum, the Earth rotates underneath it. That's why you have the apparent drift. Now that completely shits all over the globe assertion, because as soon as you get into a helicopter or an aeroplane, you should have different duration times. You should be able to hover and let the Earth turn underneath. But that's a bit of a problem for people like George, so they literally defy the documented explanation for Coriolis by assigning reference frames to bullets and pendulums. It's idiotic. Welcome to the show. Where you don't know. Yeah, they don't like me handing out a can of whoop-ass to people like George, so the entire show gets sniped. That said, I did moan that George got kicked. No need, no need. There will be a short intermission while I start a new hangout. So the hangout link is now in Skype. We'll get a few of our guests back because we do have a fair amount of time left. I think we've got about half an hour left, maybe 25 minutes. Big shout out to the super chatters. Is that the right terminology? Thank you for hitting the super chat. Go back and have a look who your names are in a minute. So I've got this link out to a few more places. There you go, people of Master B. There's your link. Done. Hello?
Hello. I'm a
Yeah.
bad boy.
Dealing with George in the harshest possible way gets the entire hangout sniped. That said, I think it was you that said you kicked him, so I'm going to blame you.
Yeah, it is my fault.
That sniper was quick.
Yeah.
Didn't even see anyone join.
All part of the fun. Yeah, but that's what happened. George joins, rumpuses the whole hangout, and then accuses me of beating my child when he loses. Pathetic.
That is such a
That's
low
why I
tactic.
kicked him. I mean, I know that you have a certain tolerance there, but I'm just like, this guy's just, ugh.
They can accuse me of what they like. So unlike
I know.
GeoStreamer, so GeoStreamer has censored me from his channel and his comments, constantly removes my comments when I point out his lies and deceit. That's what people who are lying do. They try and cover their tracks. They try and hide this shite. Me, accuse me of what you like, George. I don't hit my kid. Probably projecting your violence towards your children, if you have any. That's what I would just assume from your actions. Yeah, people are free to accuse me of whatever they like here, and they do, because I'm not for censorship. I'm not for removing comments. Nobody's comments get deleted from my chat. I get accused of it all the time because YouTube will consistently hold comments back for an hour, sometimes for a day. I've seen it happen loads of times. I'm going to have to name and shame him, I'm afraid. Bob did it. So I noticed a comment from Bob in YouTube Studio. If you've got a certain number of subscribers, it puts you into a special category. And I brought up the chat comment, and it was about Gem Panda and some of the acronyms that go along with the associated paedophile terms that he used with panda. And I was like, oh, well done, Bob. He put a link to a video that explained it. And then when I actually went to reply, it had gone. And then I scrolled down and further, he's like, are you deleting my comments? So Bob accused me of deleting his comments. Now, I'm not saying evil Bob. I'm saying, no, that's something that YouTube do. Presumably because it's toxic, it's crazy making, and it makes people think, ah, bastard, he's deleted my comments. It's like, no, that's not what's happening. YouTube do that intentionally. No idea why, but I know they do it, and some people will write, you are deleting my comments. Sometimes I have a bit of fun with it. What's his name? Slight Nihilist, I think he's in the chat, did exactly the same thing. Oh, you're deleting my comments, are you? And I was like, no, idiot, just lying. Just haven't got a clue how YouTube works. Don't know how toxic they are from time to time. Yeah, back to George. George essentially is defying the definition of Coriolis by saying that you've got third reference frame. You don't. That's not the explanation for Coriolis. It's not the definition of Coriolis. It's not how Coriolis works. He will just come in and obfuscate that and lie and deceive and use doublespeak to try and get around that point. That's all he's got. And when he loses and I point that out, like I say, he'll accuse me of hitting my kid. That's all he's got. Same as GeoStreamer did. Interesting how GeoStreamer would accuse me of slapping my kid in the face. Literally, that's what he accused me of. And then go on to remove my comments when I point out that he's lying to people about being fed by Soundly because he's a retard and needs help. Yeah? Why would you delete those comments, Geo? Why would you remove me from your live feed when I'm pointing that out to your audience? Yeah, that's because you've got something to hide. Oh, you've got your picture up, Arwin.
Oh yeah, just the general Coriolis effect. I just don't get that George keeps on making these mistakes, just flip-flopping it every time. Whether the supposed atmosphere is rotating with the Earth or if it is actually stationary. And just this diagram sums it all up. It's just these are the consequences. And it's going to be either one of them. So which one is it going to be? Do we have a Coriolis effect when you fire a projectile into the atmosphere, or do you not? And then there is a definitive conclusion. That's it. And they just keep on flip-flopping it. It's so weird. It's totally cognitive dissonance. Just can't get it straight.
Who was
So
it
weird.
who managed to sneak in and kick everybody?
Yeah, it was really fast too.
I had no
was
idea
it?
who did it.
I don't know.
Ah.
Didn't see anyone joining.
How long have we got left? About 15 minutes. Right, if you guys have got the back chat up, I'll publish the link. We'll have a bit of a troll bashing session for the last 10 or 15 minutes.
Arwin, have you got it open?
Hmm?
Have you got the back chat open?
Yeah,
I've published it. Quick.
So did we actually get a conversation started with George?
No, he just started
Sort
to
of.
obfuscate the point, and it claimed that a pendulum had its own reference frame.
Well,
Isn't the pendulum still attached to the Earth too? Like, doesn't that have? How is it in another reference frame? Oh.
Oh.
No, Warning's a real person. Let's just see if he is actually real, though. How you doing, Warning?
Hey there, can you hear me now?
We can.
Yes.
Good to have you. New guest. Yay.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I was actually on one time before I brought up a little observation. I'm not sure if you recall, but it turns out I had some data wrong on that. Doesn't mean it was proof or wasn't proof. I just had some wrong info. But
I'm back. Hello.
Hello. Hi, George. Just remind us, warning. I can't remember.
I brought up that JTOL and media infrared photo, but he didn't quite give us his location. I was a bit confused on his location, but
Hey, Apollo.
Well, do you want to explore the pendulum issue a minute?
If you don't start slandering him again.
Well, then don't call me an old git. You start doing that, then I'll shove it right back to you.
Is the issue that you're old
You
or
are,
that you're
you are an old git, and you are senile. You don't understand the Coriolis.
and you're a
your
child
ad
beater, too.
homs come from nowhere. So having pointed out that Coriolis has a third reference frame and suddenly a pendulum becomes an independent reference frame, completely devoid of the atmosphere.
Don't you get it? The amount of reference
Sorry,
frames
you've just
you
told us
have
not to talk over
depends
you, and
on
now
how
you're doing
many
it to me.
independent objects you have.
You're doing it to me,
The fact
George.
that you introduced a roundabout
Sorry, I'll just
creates a
keep pointing it
third
out till you
reference
shut up.
frame with
So you
respect
just told
to
us not to
someone on the
interrupt
Earth.
you. I was in the middle of a sentence, and you interrupted me, George. I don't get it.
Now, the fact that the weight, the mass of a focal pendulum is in
Have we lost the whole
Yes.
hangout?
Go
Hello?
on.
Go on. No, we
I
haven't.
think somebody sniped him.
I don't blame them. This time it was somebody from the other side, a sniper. There's no flat earth snipers that I'm aware of other than the ones that actually
think we're all
declare it
getting
like
cut
you.
out.
Arwen got sniped.
Yeah. If you're going to have George on the panel, he's going to get his ass handed to him, and everybody knows it. There's no way you can obfuscate around this point. There is only 2 reference frames in the Coriolis effect. Him creating a third reference frame around this pendulum is shite. He knows it. He's already lost. That's why he's done what he's done. Simple. We'll have another third show. Have we got enough time? Shall I just round out this show early? 46 minutes. It's just that little bit too early to round out. I will have another bash. That didn't last long. Public link for about 5 minutes. Not even that. Probably 2 minutes the public link was out for. Alright, third time's a charm. Right, let's try that again for a third time. So I'll stick out the third link in a row on Skype. We'll get a few guests in, and if there's time, we'll even put the link out for the public to join for a third time. Oh, Spurs Chemo's online. Let's send him the link. Might get Spurs in.
Spuds.
How you doing?
I know which account it was.
Which one?
It was that one with the funny face.
It was what?
The one with the funny face.
Oh, it was the one that came in that then did actually start chatting to us.
Yeah.
So just a decoy to kick everyone so George doesn't get his ass handed to him.
I guess so. Oh no, George is going in. Let's send in a decoy. Hi, I'm a decoy. Snipe everybody.
Yeah, don't let George make us look bad. Right, shout out to the Mind of God for the super chat. Much obliged. She Who Dares, thank you very much indeed for the super chat. Really appreciate it. And Flat Earth Dude Thanks for the super chat.
Arwin, was that you then?
Yeah, it says $5 to kick this POS, George.
No,
well,
I mean,
that happened without my control, so you got what you wanted, but not for the $5 you donated. But thank you all the same. I really appreciate it. Hit that super chat if you want to support the show.
Somebody called Arwinian Gravity has just joined and then dropped straight away. And I'm slightly suspicious because it used his handle. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to remove him from the back chat. So if that was Arwin, come back in on your normal account, Arwin, because I'm not familiar with you on this unusual name.
Arwinian Gravity, was that you, Arwin?
Yeah.
See, I told you. He just wants to make a name with himself with Arwinian Gravity. I knew it.
What this is all about, Arwin?
Hey, Travis.
I made 6 hangouts about it, and I thought I'd make a backup account.
Travis, stick yourself on mute. We can hear the cars driving past. So, where were we?
Pendulums not having their own separate reference frame. Same as bullets. Same as balls when thrown from a roundabout. The ball doesn't develop its own reference frame.
No, it's
ball
in
travels through the
frame,
atmosphere,
Joe.
which is the reference frame, the second reference frame. Same that the pendulum swinging through and the bullets travelling through. They all the same. That's how you get Coriolis effect. One reference frame that's spinning, you release the ball on the roundabout. As it leaves, you continue to spin, so the ball looks like it's curving. It's not. It's travelling in a straight line in the second reference frame, the atmosphere. Same goes for the Foucault pendulum. It swings back and forth, and according to bullshit sphere Earth, the Earth travels underneath. Therefore, you see what looks like a pendulum moving. It's not. It's actually just moving back and forth as the Earth travels underneath. Second reference frame being the atmosphere. First reference frame. Thank you very much to SX0 for the super chat. Really appreciate it. Second reference frame, the Earth travelling underneath the atmosphere. George wants to claim there's a third reference frame. Anything that moves. Move anything anywhere and it moves, it becomes its own reference frame, according to George. Defying every definition of Coriolis. Hey, Spurs.
Hey. Good afternoon.
Hey, really quick question on that. Now, whenever we...
Just check. Yeah, going through.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, you can hear me.
Whenever we see the merry-go-round demonstration, it's always from one edge across the fulcrum to the next edge. So that doesn't seem to be in lockstep with what the Earth would be. So wouldn't they have to actually turn around and throw it from the edge out away from? You know what I mean? They're demonstrating what you're describing, Nathan, but they throw it from one edge to the other across the center.
I'm not going to make out like... I'm not going to defend it. I know what you're trying to do. I'm not going to defend their bullshit. It's a parlor trick.
I'm just trying to think. Yeah, I'm just trying to think it through. That's all. Because here's what happened at the Ocean City campaign. I was talking with the physics professor from the local community college. And as I was describing the merry-go-round scenario, or even using a sling, he was saying to me, the rock is not pulling away from me. The string is pulling the rock toward me. He was arguing for centripetal force. That is, the rock wanted to come in towards my center. And so it was just this really bizarre metaphysical argument that we went back and forth on for quite some time. It was...
That's
you understand what I'm saying? He wanted the string to be some kind of force pulling the... Rather than the whole thing. Rather, you and I know, right? My hand is holding the string, and the rock's weight is pulling it away from me. The string is not doing anything but resisting the tension between my hand and the rock. It's not pulling it in.
Correct.
It's weird. Yeah. And he's a physics guy at local community college.
Right, so there's a description on screen now. It's the wiki definition. And it's got the drawing, which I can circle for the audience now. And I'll read what it says underneath in case it's too small. In the inertial frame of reference, upper part of the picture, the black ball moves in a straight line. So this is what the ball is actually doing. It gets released from the center and travels in a straight line. So that is what the ball actually does in reality. Same with the bullet, same with the pendulum. It moves back and forth if it was a pendulum, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So I'll just repeat that. In the inertial reference frame, in the inertial frame of reference, upper part of the picture, the black ball moves in a straight line. Pretty simple. However, the observer, brown dot, who is standing on the rotating non-inertial reference frame lower part of the picture, sees the object as though following a curved path due to the Coriolis and centrifugal forces presented in this frame. In other words, as you continue your path on a rotating reference frame, you will see an apparent curve in the ball. This is analogous to the Earth spinning underneath. This is analogous to the atmosphere. As soon as you release the ball, it travels in a straight line. However, because you are spinning on a rotating frame underneath it, i.e. the spinning ball Earth bullshit, you would see an apparent drift. The drift that causes the pendulum to look like it's moving around in a circle. It's not really moving, it's akin to this top one, swinging back and forth, only back and forth. That's all it does. And it's independent because it's on a pivot point, apparently. Doesn't matter that it's attached to the building and that's attached to the Earth. It's swinging back and forth, and that's all it ever does, the pendulum. But because the Earth rotates underneath, independent of the atmosphere, not the third reference frame that George asserts, the atmosphere, then you have an apparent drift. Two reference frames, atmosphere, rotating bullshit globe Earth. Simple.
Not so simple for them.
Well, it's not so simple for them because it creates a juxtaposition with the position because they need it to have three reference frames, not two. They can't have it having two no matter what. He must argue to the bitter end, like the valiant warrior that he thinks he is, old senile git, that it is three reference frames, but by all definitions, it's two, George. The bullet is in one. It isn't its own. It's in one. Sorry.
What happened to George? Did he leave or get kicked or what?
I think he was tactically kicked. Because if he was here, he'd just had that happen over a longer period of time with him lying and obfuscating the point and redefining the definition of Coriolis while I put it up on screen, which had just happened with him here. Going, no, 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 Wiki's wrong, like someone in the chat's just done. Oh, is this part of the deception? No, the Coriolis effect is real. Absolutely demonstrable. Sit on a roundabout and throw a ball, and you will observe an apparent curve in the path of that ball, because you are rotating as the ball continues in a straight line, but you rotate underneath it. That is the Coriolis effect. The Coriolis effect is real. The bullshit sphere Earth, that's not real.
Nathan, how long have we got left?
5 minutes.
Can we round out with I want to do a quick demonstration of something for the benefit of George Netanuk. My intention is to mirror it on my channel, so may I have permission to mirror this last little bit on my channel, Nathan, please?
Yeah, go ahead. You're going to want screen sharing?
Yeah.
So this particular section's going to be mirrored on your channel, you say? I'd just like to say that you need to subscribe to Nathan Oakley 1980 channel. Also, Nathan is ace.
Do I have to say that Nathan is ace?
I'm going to say it again while you're in the middle of your demo. No, I'm just joking. You carry on. You can cut all that out. Pretend I've not said it and you can cut that out.
So George claims in this message that he left in chat, and I'd like to take George up on this offer. This is an offer. This is, as far as I can see, this is an invitation to tender. This is an invitation to treat. But George claims that he's posted a $20,000 challenge last night to you flat earthers for proof of a flat, motionless Earth. Okay, that's the first message. I didn't see that initially. So the next one is, make this the active window. I offer a $20,000 challenge to you flat earthers for a proof of flat motion. That might be repeated. So then his next message is step up. Then he says, anybody, I offer a 20,000 challenge to you for a flat, blah, blah, blah. And then I said, I saw it, and then I said, you don't have $20,000, George. Actually, I do. Sitting in a bank account in Colorado. Money is there for your evidence. So I've suggested that he puts the money into a trust account, George, held at a law firm of your choice, with a signed undertaking from one of the partners, and I will accept your challenge. Here's the thing. We can go to a local county court in your jurisdiction, provided that you accept jurisdiction from the court in question, so we both agree that the jurisdiction of your local court will suffice for the purposes of this challenge. I will present the evidence of a flat and motionless earth, and we'll see if the judge agrees. But you've got to get it deposited in a law firm of your choice in your area, and an undertaking from the partners that they will pay out upon the decision of the judge. I take you up on your offer, George. Let's see the undertaking, please. That's it, I'm done.
Subscribe to Nathan Oakley 1980. Oh, damn, too late. Very good. I think I'll take... you've gone on the phone now, haven't you? So you're not going to even discuss the matter. Anybody else want to add anything before we round out this show?
Oh, we're going to round out?
Don't all beat yourself up to add an ending while I click on my buttons.
I'll be holding my breath to waiting for somebody to prove that the globe win themselves $10,000, be the first person to prove globe curvature or rotation. Come on, guys.
Hilarious.
I want to see it.
Sorry, I just had to answer the phone. What did you just say then? I didn't catch what you said.
So I'm going to round out the show shortly. Is there anything else anybody wants to add?
Yeah, let's see if George deposits the money in a law firm's client account and gets an undertaking from the partners or one of the partners of the firms that they will pay out upon the decision of the judge. I'd like to take that up on you, that offer up on you, George. We can meet in person, go to the pub, have a couple of drinks, and then see what the judge says based on the evidence that I present. I'd like to take that up, George.
And with that, I'm going to say first and foremost, a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of the live audience for tuning in and hopefully sharing this debate. If you hated the show, you know exactly what to do. But if you like the show, maybe consider sharing it with a friend or subscribing if you've not done so already. Also, a massive thank you to all of the debating panel. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!